Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm currently here at LAX, and today I'm going to be flying from LAX over to Haneda Airport in Japan. This is going to be part of a longer trip where I'm going to be exploring a number of different countries over in Asia, but I'm going to be flying with Japan Airlines in first class. So I'm super excited about that. This is like a gift to myself for the holidays. This is right before Christmas that I am going to be traveling. It's actually really cool to see how LAX has it set up here. They just had officers who were singing a bunch of Christmas songs, and they were really good at it. I don't know if I can actually play it because it's probably going to end up being copywritten, but I can show you some footage of just all these officers singing. So I'm super excited to take this trip. Now, with Japan Airlines, I am flying with them in first class, which I've actually done before, and I absolutely loved that experience. Earlier this year, I also flew with ANA in first class, so it's going to be nice to compare both of the products in the same year. But the last time I flew with Japan Airlines, I flew out of Haneda, whereas now I'm flying out of LAX. So flying out of LAX, I have the ability to access the Qantas first class lounge, which is something I've never been to before. So I'm excited to go over there and get myself some nice food and drinks right before my departure. So let's go head over there. So here in Los Angeles, the weather is actually pretty nice out. It's probably like 75-ish degrees or something like that. Whereas in Japan, from what I've seen, it's like, I don't know, 20-ish degrees since it's in December. So it is pretty darn cold over there. So I had to bring my jacket. But wearing my jacket here in LAX, I'm like sweating like crazy. So I'm sweating through this shirt. So I just want to hurry up and get over to that lounge so I can take off this jacket and just relax for a few minutes before it's time to get on that plane. So the Qantas first class lounge is right after you get through airport security. You're going to want to take a right, and then you'll notice that there's some escalators, and they should be the first escalators that you see. Once you get up the escalators and you turn right, you'll notice that there is a Qantas lounge, but that's going to end up being the business class lounge. Now you do have access to that, but since you have a first class ticket, you might as well go to the first class lounge. So as you walk down the hallway, you'll see the Korean Air lounge. You want to walk past that. And then to your left, you'll notice that there's some doors where you'll be able to get in through. Is going to be for the Qantas first class lounge. One thing I've noticed, it seems like every other time I go into either a business or first class lounge, is that there's always someone who's trying to get in who doesn't actually have access to get into the lounge. It's kind of what's going on with that couple right there, where I'm pretty sure they have access to the business class lounge, but they think they have access to this. It seems to happen when I go to like Polaris lounges or even American Airlines first class lounge. So just know that to access this first class lounge, you need to have a first class ticket with a One World partner, or have top tier status with a One World partner and be flying internationally. If you don't have that, then they're going to decline you from getting access into this lounge. Now you'll notice as soon as you get in this lounge that there's a lot of snacks and different like drink stations all around, and I really like that. Also, what you'll notice about this lounge is going to be how many different seats that there are around. There was quite a few seat options and very few people were sitting in the seats. I would say that the capacity when it comes to like how many people were occupying the seats when I was here was probably close to like 5%. The lounge was pretty dead as compared to what the Qantas business class lounge was like the last time I was in there, which was completely full. Now this lounge is very open. There's not really like different sections of it, but there is this part of the lounge that is the more popular part, which ends up being the dining area. And the great thing about this is that it is going to be all sit down dining. So they're going to give you a menu, which I have right here, and it was breakfast time. And you just order whatever you want off there and they will give it to you. And I just got a simple English breakfast, which was fine. It didn't blow me away. It wasn't anything that was terrible. It was just good. I didn't see any real crazy options, so I just went with something simple, and yeah, I just wanted some good breakfast. When you get in here, you'll notice that there's not a ton in here. Like, it's not like a lot of different areas you can go to. There's kind of just like the seating area where I'm at, where you can look out at the different people walking around International Terminal. There's a few other seats behind me if you don't feel like looking out, and then there's going to be seats where you can sit down at the restaurant. It's all sit-down restaurant, so there is no option to even get like a buffet style. You just sit down, someone's going to bring you a menu, and you order off the menu. I like that, honestly. I'm way more a fan of just a la carte, sit down and actually have like a restaurant feel, and I feel like every first class lounge should have that as an option, so that ends up being great. So I'm here right now for breakfast time. I'll say that I thought the breakfast was okay. Wasn't anything that blew me away, wasn't anything that was bad, but I do know that they have like this, I think it's like squid that they have here that I did want to try, so maybe I'll go over there and just sneak like a little bit of the squid just to see what it tastes like, because everyone says that ends up being really good. But they also do have, like, if you wanted to self-serve yourself for some wines, there are options where there's like wines and waters. actually spread out in a number of different places. I saw some champagne near the dining area, but when I kind of went over to it, the woman at the bar called me over and she said, "What would you like?" And she was very polite about it. It wasn't like, "Hey, don't touch that." She was just like, "Oh, I can help you out here." So she got me a glass of champagne, and the champagne is pretty good. I will say that when it comes to like the tidiness of this lounge, it has been not the greatest. I've noticed that there's been like glasses around at places that no one's sitting. So like the area that I'm sitting at, there's just a glass sitting on the table that someone clearly had drank from but has already left, and also one from down over there. And then when I went to the bathroom, I went to a couple different bathrooms that there was like paper towels on the ground and people who didn't flush. And I was just kind of thinking to myself that, you know, the staff should go in there and kind of make sure that the thing is taken care of and clean, because honestly, even in Centurion lounges, so I was kind of surprised to see that the bathrooms are like that, and then also just how many glasses I've seen just lying around as I've been here. As a whole, I'll say this ends up being a, in my opinion, like basic first class lounge. It's not a bad lounge. I would come here again, but I've been to the Star Alliance lounge here, that's a business class lounge, and I've also been to the Qantas business class lounge as well, and I would say that I don't feel like this one is that much better than it. I guess it's great that you do have the sit down dining. I did really want to try the lunch that they had as an option, which I guess I could. However, the lunch is not going to start until like 45 minutes before my flight, and I don't really want to eat that and then get on my flight and then have to eat the food from Japan Airlines as well. I think it would just end up being really challenging to actually do, but I have heard really good reviews when it comes to the lunch and dinner options that are offered here at Qantas. So if you happen to be flying on this Japan Airlines flight, you're just going to have the breakfast that is, I would say, just a regular breakfast. But if you happen to be flying at a different time and you can get the either lunch or dinner, from what I've read, it seems like it ends up being really, really good. A weird thing about this lounge is going to be how dirty the outside of the windows are. The inside of the windows are completely clean, but as you notice, all that filth, that's all on the outside, and they probably should do something to wipe that down. So I decided to make my way over to my gate, which isn't too far. The good thing is that while I am in the international section of LAX, there's some parts that are really far away where they could even give you like a ride to the spot, but this one's just at the 150s and 159, so it only takes about, I would say maybe about 10 minutes from where the lounge is. And there goes my bird. Now, the great thing about flying with Japan Airlines is that they are so organized when you are in line. I feel like some of the other airlines are just a mayhem when you're there, but Japan Airlines, everything was nice and smooth. Everyone was orderly, and it was good to be able to stand at the first class line and be, I think I was like the third person on the plane. But yeah, I just love the way that they set it up with Japan Airlines as compared to a lot of the domestic airlines when you're trying to get on the plane. It's time to take a look at my seat. My thoughts about this seat and the setup here in Japan Airlines First Class is that it has a classic look. Sure, some people may call it dated, but I would say that it is definitely a clean looking setup. Now, when you are flying out of Japan in first class, you get the famous Salon champagne that goes for like $1,000 a bottle. However, when you're flying into Japan, they don't give you that as an option. But fortunately for me, on this flight, they did actually have a special option that I was able to take advantage of that is even more rare than Salon champagne. You'll see that a little bit later on in the video. Now, here are all the different things I'm going to be eating with the Japanese option. I always go with the option of the airline as compared to the international option, because I feel that they do a way better job at making their own food as compared to food that is foreign to them. Now, this little ticket right here, when it's opened up, has a code to give me free Wi-Fi for my first class flight. Now, for people who've never flown in business class, it may surprise you that in business class, a lot of times they'll actually have you pay for Wi-Fi. So the good thing is that in first class, they usually end up giving you some type of just free pass, so you can end up getting free Wi-Fi. But yeah, it's kind of surprising that you could have like a $5,000-$6,000 business class seat ticket and still have to pay another $30 for access to the internet. I just got some orange juice as my welcome drink before takeoff because I was excited for this limited edition drink I was soon going to be tasting.
In case of emergency, please follow our instructions.
Okay, so we are here in Japan Airlines first class. Just took off maybe about like a half an hour ago, and initial thoughts of being back here, it's just great. I just loved how, one, efficient it is when it comes to the lines and just getting on the plane. Everything's just smooth and easy. Although that it's open in Japan Airlines first class, you don't see anyone. So the entire cabin's full, but I can't see anyone. It's not like with the tons of first class to where the entire cabin is full and everyone can see everyone at all times. This one, the way that everything's like aligned, although I'm talking to you on the camera, I can't see anyone other than the flight attendants when they walk up and down the aisle. So that ends up being great. I mean, yeah, like it would be great to have a door, have a little bit more privacy if possible, but as a whole, like when I sit here, even though it is open, I feel like I'm in a private area. So definitely has been first class service so far. And yeah, I'm gonna start watching a movie and just try to relax on this flight over to Japan. It was time for the meal service, and they started off with a small ham dish and also the Hibiki 100th anniversary. Now this is a blend between their famous 17 and also another high-end Suntory product. This thing tasted delicious. And to complement it, they brought me out some caviar. When people wonder what is the difference between business and first class, sure, it is the space you get in your seat and also the service, but it's the high-end products like this as well. Okay, so the cool thing about this flight is that although they don't have the Sloan champagne going into Japan, you only get it when you're flying out of it in first class, which is like the bottle that costs like $1,300 or $1,400. What they do currently have right now is they have this like rare Hibiki whiskey that you can end up getting. So it's Hibiki 100th anniversary whiskey. If you end up looking at it, it ends up costing somewhere, I think it's normally like $400-ish if you can find it just for at cost in Japan, but it's pretty much impossible to do that. If you look at it when people are like reselling it in the United States, they're selling it for like close to $2,000, which is crazy. So although I wasn't able to get Sloan champagne, I was able to get some Hibiki. So this is the Hibiki 100. So earlier this year when I did ANA, I did get to try the Hibiki 17, which is really good. But ever since I saw the movie Lost in Translation, I've always been a fan of Hibiki, just trying it out. It's honestly my favorite whiskey. So for relaxing time, make it Suntory time. That's some smooth whiskey. Now here's the second part of my multi-course meal, and I will say that all these different little dishes were really good. The one on the left was my least favorite, but the other four, I ate them very quickly. I couldn't quite tell you exactly what all of them are, so you could go back and look at the menu, and many of them I can't even really pronounce, but just know that these are going to end up being really tasty. Part 3 of the course is going to be some soup, and I'll just say that the containers and the display that they have when presenting the courses are just top notch. It really does add another level when it comes to you feeling like you're getting a first class product. There were a couple more dishes before the main meal, and I'll just say that whoever was the chef who designed this course did an incredible job when it comes to making it so that the last dish that you ate blends really well with the next one. Sometimes you go have an appetizer and then get the main meal, and then you feel like the appetizer just took over your entire palate, but not here. Everything perfectly blends well, and you can't wait to have the next part. And it seems all to be meticulously designed that way. The main dish was a super tasty Japanese steak with onions. And beside it, there was rice, miso soup, and also Japanese pickles. The dessert was a little more subtle for dessert than I expected, but I didn't think it tasted bad. The flight attendant has been on point. I just like how she keeps on bringing me over my food when I'm ready. So although I might be on one portion and someone else is on another portion, she just waits, and as soon as I don't mind, she brings out the next part. And then I see her bring out the other portion, whereas I see sometimes where they'll just bring it all out for everybody. So that's kind of the difference, is when you are in first class, you end up getting that first class treatment. But I am absolutely stuffed. Other people already got their seats turned into beds, so I don't know what time it is in Japan right now. I guess it's probably night. I'm honestly pretty wide awake. The only thing that's getting me a little tired right now is the fact that I just ate so much food, so maybe in an hour or so I might end up taking a nap before arriving in Japan. But yeah, as a whole, so far, this experience is just like I remembered it last time. Definitely an A for Japan Airlines. It's just great service, great food. Sure, the seat might be a little bit dated, but as a whole, you're going to be happy with this experience. It's going to feel like first class for sure. Now, when you first look at the setup of this bathroom, it doesn't look like anything very special. You're going to have mirrors and then different little products, but what does make it special is this toilet. And what makes this toilet special is the bidet. If you've never tried a bidet before, I highly recommend it, because you will feel cleaner than you've ever felt. And what's also nice about the bathroom are these things that you can pull out, so when you are changing in the bathroom, you don't have to worry about your clothing and everything being on the ground. And in first class, when you decide to change into your pajamas, your return and your seat will be converted into a bed. Whereas in business class, in many instances, they have you do it yourself. Okay, so the flight attendant just made up my bed, and I must say this thing is very comfortable. She gave me the option to have either a soft pad or a firm pad. She was saying that the locals, the Japanese people, love the firm pad, but all of the foreigners like the soft pad. I got the soft pad. I would prefer to have it be a soft bed as compared to a firm one, but it's cool that you have options. The pajamas that I got are a medium. I weigh about 175 to 180, and it fits fine for me. Honestly, it's very comfortable. It's not tight at all, but yeah, it feels nice and relaxing to be in, and honestly, it hasn't been hot on this plane this entire time. The last few times I've flown on Japanese Airlines, they have been on the warmer side, but this one, the entire time, it's been really just comfortable temperature. I'm the final person to go to sleep. Everyone else has been sleeping for the past maybe 3 hours after the meal. But for me, I've just been watching a movie, and yeah, so now that I'm here, I'm gonna try to get myself maybe, 3 hours of sleep before I get myself another bite to eat, and then we're gonna land in Tokyo after that. They said there is gonna be some turbulence as we're coming into Tokyo, which is unfortunate, but hopefully it's not too bad. But yeah, I'm ready to take a nap and be in Tokyo. This is just an excellent experience the entire way through. Here's the amenity kit given to you by Japan Airlines. Now, the container looks different than the one I got previously, but the items inside seem to be exactly the same. Now, you may think to yourself that you're not going to end up using all of these different items, but you'd be surprised at how some of them may end up coming handy. There was a time where I got an amenity kit that had socks, and I remember that when I went to the airport, it was pouring rain out, and my shoes and socks were absolutely soaked. So when I got onto the aircraft and I was able to change into the socks that were given to me, I was very happy about that. Now, the second meal service wasn't really a full meal service, they just showed a bunch of different smaller items that you could order. So I got some ramen because I just am a huge fan of ramen. And then to add to that, I got myself a grilled chicken and cheese sandwich, which was fine. And to conclude, I got myself some vanilla ice cream, which I found more delicious than the Japanese dessert, but who doesn't love ice cream? Okay, so we have about an hour and a half left of this flight. Just finished up my second meal service, which wasn't like a full meal. This one just had like an a la carte for your second meal, so I was able to choose. So I chose ramen, I chose there was like a grilled chicken sandwich with cheese. Also came with salad. I also got some ice cream, which was all really good, so I was very happy with that. I'll just say that this entire experience has been absolutely incredible. I really do love Japan Airlines first class product. Yes, I know that like the older version isn't as private as the newer version, where you actually have the closed doors and everything like that. But even still, I can kind of see other people's TVs, but I can't see any other person. So that just ends up being like really nice that you still end up feeling private, even though it does end up being open. The staff has just been beyond great. So just a moment ago, they asked me if I wanted some more whiskey, and I said no, maybe I'll take some champagne. So they brought out a champagne, and it wasn't like bubbly, it actually tasted more just like wine. And I wasn't really the hugest fan of it, so when the woman came back and she was like, "Oh, what'd you think?" I was like, "Oh, it really wasn't for me. It tasted more kind of like more like a white wine, which I'm okay with. I just wasn't expecting it." And she goes, "Oh, okay." She goes, "You want more?" I go, "No, I'm good." And then like 5 minutes later, I guess the woman who's above her came over and was like, "We are so sorry about that." I'm like, "No, I'm not complaining." And she was like, "We have to let you try this other champagne. It's more bubbly. I think you'll like it better. Maybe more of what you expect as champagne. Please give this one a try." And I was like, "No, I'm really not complaining, but if you want to have me try it, then sure." So they ended up giving me that one, and it was really good, and it tasted just like how I would expect normal champagne. And she came back over later and was like, "How was it?" I was like, "It was great." And she filled it up some more. So they've been filling me up with a lot of alcohol over here. I've had of that Hibiki 100th anniversary. She was telling me I'm the only one who's drinking it, and she said just as much as I want it, just I can keep on asking for it. She just kept on filling me up glasses and glasses. So I know this is like over a 10-hour flight, but I definitely got quite a few of those. This is the most whiskey I've ever had in a single day. I don't really feel drunk because of the fact that it's such a long flight, and I have like spaced it out to pretty much get like a drink maybe like every hour and a half or so. So it may seem like a lot of drinks, but after you end up like spacing it out like that, then it really doesn't get you super buzzed. But she hooked me up with a ton of that whiskey. I mean, that whiskey is actually pretty rare right now, so I wanted to try to purchase it here, but they didn't have it available to be able to purchase, and I wasn't able to get it for duty free beforehand, trying to like pre-order. However, being able to get it here and seeing that they resell it for close to like $2,000 in the US, I mean, just being able to have unlimited of the amount that I want on this flight is pretty incredible. Now, I know not everyone would agree with me, but I honestly like Japan Airlines better than ANA. I think ANA normally has a higher sticker price when you end up looking at like if you were to do like round trip and first class with ANA, and ends up being over 20,000, whereas with something like Japan Airlines, I think it ends up being near like 16 or so thousand. It still ends up both of them being really expensive, but honestly, my experience with Japan Airlines, each time I've done it, has just been absolutely incredible. Whether if it's being in economy, which has actually been my favorite economy flight that I've ever had, or being in first class, this ends up just being a wonderful experience. Now, I do have the new product booked, but that's for next year, so I am going to have to wait a little bit to be able to try out the new product and actually have all that additional space and privacy that ends up coming with it. But it looks absolutely incredible. So if you end up adding all of that additional space and privacy, I mean, it looks like, in my opinion, like top 3 or 4 first-class products in the entire world. Now, I'll say that the bed was actually really comfortable. However, I didn't sleep for very much. I think I slept for maybe like half an hour to 45 minutes because of the fact of just the time of the flight. So the flight was at like, I think it was near like, was it 12:15 or 12:30 or somewhere right around there. So we take off at that time, and even if we're in the air for over 10 hours, it still ends up not being past like 10 o'clock p.m. in Los Angeles. So although other people went to sleep at maybe like 4 p.m., I was wide awake. So I was just watching things. I tried to take like a nap a few hours ago, and I just got like a very short nap. And I'm probably going to end up being exhausted when I get in Japan, but it has nothing to do with the comfort of the bed when it goes into lay flat mode. because the seat is really comfortable when it goes in lay flat mode. I definitely would recommend getting the soft pad over the firm pad. I guess unless you like the firm pad more, but the soft pad was great. It is very spacious. It for sure feels like a first class seat when it comes to all the space you have. There's no cocoon feeling when you're lying down. It just feels like you're on a bed. That ends up being like really nice. I will say that I wish they had like a better pillow. The pillow itself wasn't like it didn't elevate my head very much, so I had to like try to fold it multiple times. It gave me like a little more elevation. That's one thing about like United Polaris is, although I'm not the biggest fan of that product, I do think they have a fantastic pillow. I wish more airlines would end up having either that pillow or maybe more pillows just to elevate your head a little bit more, which is how I normally sleep in my own bed. One random complaint that I'll give about this flight had to do with the entertainment. Now, it had nothing to do with the actual like options for the entertainment, although they were a little bit limited, but they had enough things that I was okay with watching when it came to just like Hollywood films, so I was able to, watch a number of different movies while on this flight. But I watched like Deadpool and Wolverine, and they didn't edit any of the like violence, but they edited all of the words. So I had headphones on, and it was like I was watching it on TBS, to where they didn't say many different curse words. So watching Deadpool and Wolverine, when they're just removing all of the curse words and all like the vulgar humor, ended up being a pretty poor watching experience. So I definitely don't recommend watching that film unless you're just trying to watch the action scenes, if it ever goes on like TBS, because if you end up watching it like that, it's just, you miss a lot of the jokes. I have been on flights before where they have edited like some of the nudity, which I can understand if you're sitting next to someone and maybe they wouldn't want to see the nudity, but I have the headphones on, so the other people wouldn't be able to hear the different curse words for the films that I'm watching. So I have no idea why they ended up editing it out for that film. I watched another film where they did say the curse words in it, but then the last film I just watched, I believe they were editing out the curse words, but they also still weren't editing out the violence in the movie. So I don't know, it just ended up seeming kind of weird to me. So how did I book this flight? Well, I was able to book it the cheapest way out there, which ends up being with American Airlines. It only ends up costing 80,000 American Airlines miles. And this ends up being, in my opinion, an incredible deal. Now, it can end up being a little bit challenging when it comes to trying to book it with American Airlines, due to the fact that American Airlines calendar isn't as far out as compared to either Japan Airlines calendar or some of the other partners within oneworld. But if you can end up finding it available with American Airlines, not only do you end up getting it at the cheapest cost, but also you end up getting free cancellations as well. So originally what I was trying to do was just go over to Taipei, because I thought it would end up being really cool to go over there. However, when I tried to find award availability for this time, they ended up just blocking out a lot of the time for the holidays. So I tried to figure out another way to be able to get over there. Unfortunately enough, I was able to see that Japan Airlines opened up award availability with their partners at the exact time I wanted to go from Los Angeles over to Japan with Japan Airlines at the exact time I wanted to go. So there was award availability to go from Los Angeles to Japan, and I'm just going to stay in Japan since it ends up being my favorite place to visit anyways for a few days, and then I'm going to fly with Starlux over to Taipei because I saw award availability for that. So it ends up being a little bit more expensive than what it would have cost me if I just did a direct flight with Starlux, which would end up being 75,000 Alaskan Airlines miles. But the fact that I get to get first class and also I get to go visit Japan as well, for me, I just see it as being an awesome extension to the trip that I want to take. So definitely I think that booking Japan Airlines first class is worth it, even though it ends up being an older product where it is a little bit more open and the screen is smaller. But even still, you end up having a tremendous amount of space. The staff is absolutely incredible. There's been at least 3 different people who've been just coming around for the 8 different people in first class. The food is mainly great. There's just so many different things they end up giving you. So there were a few things that I was like, that wasn't my favorite. But there were some things where I was like, oh my goodness, this thing's incredible. However, you only just get like a small portion of it. But I just love having all these different small portions of food to be able to eat and just try all these different Japanese options that are out there. And obviously, if you're going to fly this, go with the Japanese menu as compared to the Western menu. I've heard some people go with the Western menu and not be happy with their meal, but I say go with whatever the local food is, because chances are it's going to end up being the best option out there. I do think that the experience can end up being better flying from Japan to America due to the fact that you end up not only getting the Salon champagne, which is really nice, but also I find the first class lounge over in Haneda to be a lot better than the Qantas lounge that I just experienced at LAX. But hopefully you enjoy this video. Let me know in the comment section down below. Have you ever flown with Japan Airlines? And if so, which cabin class did you fly with? Now, if you happen to have any questions, you can drop it down in the comment section down below. I'll do the best I can to answer it. If you happen to be interested in any cards, check out my links in the description box down below. If you do decide to use any of my links, it does really help out the channel. I'll be incredibly thankful for your support. If you happen to really like this video, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Peace.